All right, our crappy culture. So I gave a edgy speech on Friday to my friends at Young America Foundation. It was really nice because I went up to Santa Barbara, where I used to live, and it was a big lunch, and the place was filled with, with donors to YAF, but also with high school students. And it was really nice because I looked over, and there at the table right near the speaker's podium were all the guys who used to beat me in tennis when I lived up there. All these guys going, yeah, he looks like he's slowed down probably. But it was really lovely to see old friends. But the reason I call it an edgy speech, because I knew as I was going up there that I was going to, the easy thing when you give these speeches is to serve out the red meat. If you shake your fist, if you condemn the left, you're going to give a successful speech and you know it. But I wanted to give a slightly more complex speech because I am, after all, an artist, and an artist's job is different than a political commentator. An artist's job is just to describe things so well that you kind of know what you should do going forward and what might happen going forward just because you've described things accurately. So I gave a speech about Donald Trump and how and why his worst attributes are helpful to the right, and what that means for us as conservatives and what it means for the future. And I knew that people who love Donald Trump, the kind of Dinesh D'Souza Trump is Lincoln camp, I knew they weren't going to like the speech. And I knew that people who hate him, the never-Trumpers who think he is degrading the dialogue and is degrading the office of the presidency, I knew they weren't going to like the speech because I had a lot of good things to say about Trump as well. That covers everybody. I figured there'd be, by the time I looked up at the end of the speech, I thought there'd be like one person who was just too drunk to get in. I just wandered in. I don't actually belong to YAF, But actually, they were very. It was greeted with enthusiasm, and I just want to reiterate a couple of points that I made because I think that they really do talk about our crappy culture. First of all, one thing I said about Trump is that people always ask why Trump and Reagan can't be like Reagan, who was so elegant and so soft-spoken and so graceful all the time. And I said, Reagan was a creation of 40s, 50s culture, 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s. Those are the things, it's as you're growing up that the culture really shapes you and affects you. He was shaped by all the old movies, all the old ideas, the America of consensus, the American where the left and the right were basically fighting over the 50-yard line, but all agreed that we should be free. Trump, he is a product of 60s and 70s culture. He is a product of the left's culture. The left owns the culture after 1968. It is completely, the culture has fallen apart. They say, oh, well, he slept with a Playboy bunny. That's their culture. The right didn't want that. The right didn't want a world where people were sleeping around all the time. The right wanted a world of marriage, wanted a world of religion. It wanted a world of respect. It also wanted a world of heroes, and they destroyed that and they created, it's the left, it's Hollywood that created reality TV, which elevates rudeness. It elevates conspiring against your neighbor. It elevates, just treating people like garbage. All that stuff is what Trump comes out of. And that's why I always compare him to Godzilla, where the Japanese set off the nuclear bomb or a nuclear bomb is set off and then the monster comes out, they set off the bomb. But what I said about this is the reason this has helped the right is because the left has corrupted the culture so badly that a person who adhered to politeness would be tied up in knots. They took over our manners and basically said it's wrong. It's racist to say there are problems in the black community. There are problems with poor African American culture. They are the ones who said that's racist. They're the ones who said, oh, if you say, these Muslims have a little bit of a problem with killing innocent people, that you are some kind of bigot instead of just observing the world. They're the ones who made our system of manners a mental prison. And Trump, because he's a rude guy, broke through that prison, and that's why he has won the affection of so many Republicans. And I went on and talked about his character, which, look, you can love Trump all you want, but he bragged about committing adultery. He bragged about, being unkind. He's unkind to other people. Some of the stuff he said about Ted Cruz was really wrong. It's just, it doesn't become right because we get things that we want. It doesn't become right. It's wrong. But it's the left that made character assassination a form of argument. It's the left that said, when Mitt Romney said we should give some tax breaks to corporations, they're the ones who said, oh my God, he stuffs women into binders. He puts dogs on roof. He bullied a kid in high school. They're the ones who used ad hominem attacks instead of dealing with arguments, instead of saying, you say this, but here are the facts. And that they don't do that. It's the right that does that. It's the right that argues ideas. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that Trump's success and the benefits that he has given in doing stuff that is basically just basic right of center conservative governance, constitutional governance. Nothing he's done is radical. Nothing he's done is over the top. Everything he's done is within the Constitution. He hasn't broken any laws that we know of. He hasn't done anything like Obama did, spying on people and shutting people down with the IRS, hasn't done any of that stuff. But the fact that it took a man of his character to do this tells us what happened when we let the culture go. Every time I talk about the movies or even joke about the Oscars or anything like that, I get letters from people saying to me, don't waste your time on that. I haven't been to a movie in 15 years. Well, guess what? The culture doesn't go away. It doesn't get off your lawn just because you say, like, I don't care about that culture. It's always there and it's always shaping people. And if we don't shape it, the left shapes it. And what they expected to destroy the culture. They expected to bring the adultery. They expected to bring the rudeness. Who was it who told us we could use all these words? It was the left. They expected to bring the rudeness. They expected to bring the harshness and bring the bullying, but they never expected it to blow up in their faces. And that's what's happening. And so when I talk to the right about how they should get involved in the culture and how they should make art and how they should build studios and build social media, the left ought also to think about what happens when you start with identity politics. When you create identity politics, you have no argument against the white people who say, okay, if identity politics is the rule, here's white identity politics. You have no argument at the New York Times when you hire Sarah Jung against haters on the right, because you're a hater on the left. Maybe the left too should start to think about the art they make and the stuff they put on television and the stuff they say in public, because now it's blown up in their face and they deserve every little bit of it. Tomorrow, we'll be back. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. And our technical producer is Austin Stevens. Edited by Emily Jai. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.